Hello plant lovers, and today I just thought I'd show you a bit of an update with the fabulous Australian Dendrobium kingianum, just to show you what to expect when they put on their spring growth. Okay, let's make some space. Isn't this the most amazing specimen? My goodness. Now, the reason I'm going to make this quick video is because when I first started growing orchids, I really had no idea what a new growth looked like, what a flower spike might look like, when it should be growing, when it should not be growing, yada, yada, yada. And of course, each orchid type has very different care and growth requirements and cycles, etc. But I thought, let's have a look at kingianum because they're doing their thing right now and it's a good time to have a look. I did make a basic kingianum care video, which I will just link up here. So I won't go into too much detail, but what I will point out is that I'm in Melbourne, which you can see right here, which is in southeast Australia. It is a temperate climate, not that dissimilar to a zone 10 in the US or parts of southeast England, which I don't really think is true. But anyway, our winters are cold and wet, but they don't freeze, and our summers can be hot and they can be dry, but they can also be chilly and wet. But the point is that these orchids are native to the east coast of Australia, so they're very used to this kind of weather. And unlike many other dendrobiums, they don't really need a dry period per se, as say a nobile type of dendrobium does. So they're pretty easygoing. We are in December and it is midsummer here, and they have all put on their spring growth, which is what I wanted to talk to you about. Now, the basics with kingianum flowering is here you have the mature canes, and from the middle of that mature cane is where you get your flower spike. Now, this baby here, as you can see, has got fabulously long canes, and this one is slightly smaller. Now, weirdly, they are both simply described as Dendrobium kingianum, and this one is then called pink rock orchid. So it tends to be smaller and it has much pinker or magenta flowers, whereas this one tends to be bigger and has incredibly pale lilac flowers. Very beautiful. The same sort of looking flower. This one tends to be a bit smaller. This is a bit larger. The fragrance is kind of similar. Very beautiful. Okay, so it is midsummer and the growth is happening. Now, I will come in closer and show you what's going on here, but you can see these fabulous new growths that are coming straight up. Now, they will then terminate in leaves, and the more of those you can promote to grow, the better, because the bigger your specimen, the more canes you have and the more flowers you will have. Now, an orchid like this should be capable of flowering from each cane. Unfortunately, I'm in a rental at the moment and my conditions aren't perfect because they do need winter sun, and it's a bit of a struggle in our tiny courtyard. But plant lovers, hopefully next year we'll be moving into our renovated house and I will be able to give these babies the love and the care and the winter sun that they need. So this year I probably had, I can't remember now, 3 or 4 flower spikes, but essentially you should get one from every cane. So if you can promote the right amount of growth, give them the right amount of light in winter, you will have the most amazing display. First thing then is the medium, free draining, regular orchid mix. For these, I just use a generic orchid mix from a garden centre. I don't put any perlite or any charcoal. It's quite simply out of the bag. But you could do what you want. You could certainly add perlite, you could certainly add charcoal, whatever it is, just make sure that it's free draining. The other thing to remember with these is that I have them outdoors all year. As I said, Melbourne's winters don't freeze, but we can get pretty cold, but these guys are used to it. They need strong morning light in winter and then dappled light in sun. And they are the conditions that are going to promote all this wonderful growth. Now, when you come to pot them up, use your free draining orchid mix. And what I always put in mine is 2 things, my secret ingredient. One is literally 1 or 2 grains of a generic slow release fertilizer. Now, not too many and not near where the roots are going to sit. So you put in a little bit of layer of the media, you put in literally a couple of grains, maybe 3 or 4 grains of the slow release fertilizer, a little bit more media, and then the roots, and then you pack it around. You don't want those raw fertilizer pellets to be sitting on the roots because they could burn them. The next thing I always put in, plant lovers, and this I think is the secret to my success, is the tiniest little dash of mycorrhizal fungi powder. Now, mycorrhizal fungi are the beneficial root fungi that enable the roots to draw the nutrients from the soil, and they break down certain nutrients and make them available to the plant. So they're very beneficial. Now, soil is generally going to have them, but packaged soil mix or mix that you're making yourself might not have that many. So it doesn't hurt. You can't damage the plant by putting in that fungi, but you can certainly help it. And what that does is promote strong root growth and the absorption of minerals. And that's what you want for new vegetative growth. Now, as you can see from this one, which is smaller and easier to handle, you kind of have a crown of canes, and then growing around the edge of it, you will get all your new canes at this point. So they started to spike up about 2 or 3 weeks ago, so the very end of spring, early summer, which is basically when the flowers have started to die. So in terms of maximizing your growth potential, when the flowers are dying, again, I then topically apply 1 or 2 grains of a slow release fertilizer, literally just 1 or 2, and try not to put it anywhere near any aerial roots that you can see on the surface of the media. And I also give it, as often as I can remember, at least once a month, a watering with a diluted solution of a seaweed-based fertilizer. Now, I always dilute it and I don't measure it, but I would say it's about 1/8 of the recommended measurement that's on the bottle. But I would dilute it more than is recommended because you don't want to over-fertilize, because you'll promote mad growth and not many flowers, and it's not that healthy for the plant. So always ease it down. As I said, mine is roughly 1/8 of what's recommended, but you'll find your own way. Now, this one sends up the most extraordinary canes, as you can see, and they will essentially mature in a year. So ideally, if I were to give this baby the right amount of light in winter, each of these canes will have a flower, and in early spring next year, it will be a dome of beautiful pendulous flowers. But I'm not sure that's going to be the case because I kind of don't have the room. Now, these orchids are incredibly resilient. They can take periods of drought, they can take a certain amount of cold, but I wouldn't be putting them in a consistently sub-zero temperature. They can take heat, but they can't take direct sun. And I'm not sure if you can see, but I'll come in and show you some of these older canes here do have sunburn spots. And because the canes for last for quite a few years, you're going to be forever reminded of your negligence by the sunburn spots. So the important thing at this time of year is to give them filtered light, enough water, but not too much, a little bit of food, not too much. You'll promote the right amount of growth, which is perfect. You'll get quite a few canes and off you go. And the other thing to see from both of these examples is that each season you get a lot of new canes. They kind of grow exponentially from the outside. And on this one, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. As far as I can see in this little one, there's 8 new canes coming up. And in the bigger one, oh, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 on the big one. So you can see how quickly they can take off if they're given the right conditions. The only way you could really kill them is actually overwatering in a soggy media that isn't draining quickly enough, because they don't like wet roots. They're all epiphytic, some are lithophytes as well, so the water runs past them very quickly and they absorb what they want. So they're never sitting in very, very damp conditions. That, I think, could be their undoing. That and perhaps consistent sub-zero freezing temperatures. Although they are tough and they do grow in parts of Australia that does get cold, I don't know to what degree they could survive consistently freezing temperatures. Other than that though, there you go. When you go on holiday, you don't need to worry about watering them. Leave them under a tree and they will just fend for themselves, assuming it's in summer. There we go, plant lovers. I just wanted to show you these growths as they were happening, so you can maybe get a sense of what should be happening with yours at this time of year, which is early summer. Thanks for watching. Do hit subscribe if you're interested. I try and post every week things that I'm growing, which tend to be orchids, but also some other rare things. Anyway, that's what I like to post about. If it's of any interest to you, do ask a question. I know nothing. I'm but an amateur, but my experience has come from my experience, and I'm happy to share. Anyway, plant lovers, Happy New Year. It's 2021. It can only get better, and I will see you next week.